when I see a leader, I think of the word dreamer. Leaders are dreamers. They have a dream, they have a vision. And there are 4 vision levels of people. Some people never see it. I call them the wanderer. They just go through life. They never see it. I mean, they just wonder. You know what I mean? They just wonder. Nobody's home. Nobody's ever been home. Nobody's going home. There's just no home sweet home. They just wander all throughout life, okay? And then number 2, there are some people who see it, but never pursue it on their own. They're the follower. That's the person. They see it, but they'll never have the initiative to do it on their own, but they will get in line and follow. Then, number 3, there are some people who see it and pursue it. They're the achiever. They're the person that will truly climb up the mountain and get to the top. But the 4th level is the level that I want to encourage you to go to, and that is some people, they see it, they pursue it, and then they help others to see it. And they're the leader. They make life better, not only for themselves, they make life better for other people. And my friend Andy Stanley, who wrote an incredible book that I would encourage you to purchase called Visioneering. It is the finest book on vision and vision casting I have ever read in my life. And I read a lot of leadership books. But Andy Stanley, in his book Visioneering, says that vision weaves 4 things into the fabric of our daily lives. Number 1, passion. There is no such thing as an emotionless vision. You never had anybody say, I have this boring dream. Well, maybe it'll come to me someday. When anybody has a dream, they have accompanied with it passion, don't they, huh? I call passion the great energizer. There's something about it, passion, that just creates major energy in a person's life. The second thing a vision weaves in for us is motivation. Because a vision is a picture of the future that motivates us to pursue it. And thirdly, direction. Because a vision helps us to prioritize our life. Once you have a dream, all of a sudden you're willing to give up things for that dream, aren't you? All of a sudden you say, well, if I'm going to get the dream, I'm going to give this up, I'm going to quit doing this, and I'm going to start doing that. And number 4, purpose. A vision makes you an important link between current reality and the future. And you begin to have a sense of significance and purpose in that entire process. I want to read the next paragraph because I think it's very important. It says, a person without experience sees a vision idealistically. To that individual, the vision alone is enough. Naively, this person casts the vision to others, expecting the dream to do the work, and failing to realize that a vision needs support. A person with experience learns that people buy into the leader before they buy into the vision. Experienced leaders realize that people are fickle and dreams are fragile. Experience has taught me these principles about vision. And I'm going to share with you now, out of my book, Developing the Leader Within You, the 5 most important thoughts I have ever grasped about the dream and the vision. Here it is. The credibility of a vision is determined by the leader. What makes a vision credible? It's not the vision itself. It's the leader who casts the vision. If you believe in the leader, you'll believe in the vision. If you don't buy into that leader, you're never going to buy into where that leader is trying to take you. The credibility of the vision is always determined not by the vision, but by the leader. Secondly, the acceptance of a vision is determined by the timing of its presentation. Timing is everything when you're trying to pass on a dream. In fact, here's what I have found. The right dream or the right vision at the wrong time produces failure. The right dream has to come at the right time for it to be successful. Timing is essential in leadership. The value of a vision is determined by the energy and direction that it gives. When people say, well, how valuable was the vision? How did the people buy into it? How do you know? It's very simple. You look and you ask yourself one question. Do the people in the organization have energy? Do they have direction? You see, once a vision has been cast, if it has been cast correctly, once a dream has been received, if it has been received correctly, it will energize the organization. That's why you never see an apathetic company or an apathetic business or an apathetic department that has a great dream and vision. They don't match. Dreams give energy. Next, the evaluation of a vision is determined by the commitment level of the people. How do you evaluate if the dream really was successful? How much commitment did the people give to it? Because a realistic, right dream will draw people into a level of commitment, a higher level. And finally, the success of a vision is determined by its ownership, by both the leader and the people. And that's huge. So here's how you break a dream down. Here's how you sit down and break a dream down so everybody can understand it and everybody can grab a hold of it and get a hold of it. Number one, break the dream down so everyone can understand it. Have you ever listened to a speaker sometime and he was trying to share something with you, and basically when he or she finished, you didn't have a clue what they said? And you just kind of, you walked out, and the best thing you could say, well, he's deep. well, she's real deep. She's down. Well, it was just a deep lesson. That was deep. Yeah, deep doo-doo's what that is. Put the cookies on the lower shelf. Get it right down to where people can grab a hold of it. They need to understand it. Number two, they need to own it. It's not enough to understand it. They have to buy into it. And thirdly, they have to contribute to it. By the way, that's how you know they own it. Because people will contribute to what they own, but they won't contribute to what they don't own. Let me explain it this way. How many of you have ever rented a car? You went to maybe another town. How many of you rented a car? Yeah, everybody's rented a car. Okay, can I tell you something what I know about that car you rented? You have never waxed a rented car. Man, you don't get that. You don't go to the car rental and you spend a couple days in it and you say, you know what, honey, I'm just going to spend the afternoon waxing this car. It just needs wax. No. You don't wax a rented car. You don't own it. You don't put in extra effort to something that you don't own. So people in the dream, they got to understand it, they got to own it, they got to contribute to it, and number four, they have to pass it on. They have to be able to pass it on. They have to have the ability to pass it on to someone else. Because that's how the dream and that's how the vision multiplies. Okay, let's review for a moment. When I see a leader, I think of the word leadership, equipper, attitude, dreamer, and the letter E is excellence. When I see a leader, I think of excellence. And excellence, in the bottom of that page, derives from the word excel, which means to go beyond average. That's what excellence means, to go beyond average. Last year, I spoke at a university commencement. And as I looked at, I don't know, there were probably 7,000 or 8,000 people there that day. But as I looked at the graduating class, I decided that I wanted to talk to them about excellence. And basically in that lesson, what I taught them was, I want you as graduates to do more than is expected of you, to go the second mile. And I was really working on them in the fact that life doesn't owe you something, you owe life something. My father taught me that. My dad taught me, he said, John, quit waiting to kind of clip coupons from life. Quit waiting for your lottery number to come up. And in fact, my dad used to say, John, he said, you know, when you were born in this family, you were already in debt. In fact, when you were born, he said, you owed your mother for 9 months of room and board. You got the picture? Okay. And, so son, take out the garbage. Get busy here. Get busy. Okay, now. So as I was looking at the college graduates, I was sharing with them, go the second mile. Become a person of excellence. Go beyond average. Go beyond what's expected. And I gave them an Old Testament example. Remember when Abraham decided to find a bride for his son Isaac? And so he sent his servant back to the homeland to find a bride. And so the servant, he's kind of nervous because this is the most important assignment he's ever been on as a servant. He's going to have to really do well, choose well. And by the way, when my children were both unmarried, I thought we ought to go back to that Old Testament custom of the parent picking out the mate but my 2 kids totally nixed that one. Anyway, so he's nervous about this, and so he's saying, God, you're going to have to help me. How will I know who should be the bride, the whole deal? And you know the story. A young lady named Rebecca came down to the well, just like the rest of the women. And it was in the cool of the evening when everybody was going to the well. And she saw the servant of Abraham, and she said, well, let me give you something to drink. Well, that was nice. That was hospitable. But that was kind of Eastern culture, so that wasn't unusual. But then she said, I would also like you to give your camels some water to drink. Now, that was huge, folks, because the servant had 10 camels. And 10 camels, after traveling a day, will consume each camel 20 gallons of water. So when she said, I would like to give your camels something to drink, now this is not just being nice. There's 200 gallons of water to draw from this well. Let's say she had a 5-gallon bucket or jug. When she took that 5-gallon jug or bucket to the well, she'd have to go down there and she'd have to put it down. I don't know how long it took, but let's just say it took 3 minutes because everybody was around the well. It was a busy time of the day. Let's say it took 3 minutes. She'd drop the bucket down and she'd pull it out, and then she'd go to some water trough somewhere and she would put the water in, and then she would come back. Okay, if it took her 3 minutes, and she had to make 40 trips, that would take her 2 hours just to draw water for the camels. This is huge. So you talk about excellence. When she said, I'd like to give your camels something to drink, she was saying basically, I'm going to hang around 2 hours and do this for you. Now, the story is a great story, because little did she know that this was the process. This was the process of how the servant was going to select a bride for Isaac. And Abraham was a wealthy man. And little did she know that this 2-hour exercise was going to pay off huge. She was going to be the bride of Isaac, and she was going to be married into one of the wealthiest families of that generation. I mean, she didn't know all those things. And what I think is so important is she didn't do it for what she was going to receive. She did it because it was the right thing to do. I always think it's a little sad, don't you? When people kind of look at you and say, well, I'll be glad to do something for you, but what's in it for me? You see, leaders don't do that. Leaders understand that they are to lead their people with excellence, that they are to go beyond whatever is expected from anyone else. And I put in your notes because I don't want to miss this. Here's what I want you to see. Today's philosophy basically is minimum effort for maximum expectation. Where Rebecca's principle was maximum effort for minimum expectation. In other words, Rebecca looked at life as a leader does. I want to give it my best shot. I want to be a person of excellence. You see, Rebecca teaches us 3 things. One is that we're not to live our lives as a legalist. Because in her culture, it was kind of like an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. And she said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do more than is expected of me. And number 2, she teaches us that we cannot walk the second mile until we first of all walk the first. In other words, the first thing she did was she gave the water to the servant, and then she said, let me take care of the camels. And you know what I find a lot of times? I find people want to take shortcuts. And shortcuts don't pay off in the long run. In fact, my friend Nancy Dornan says the longest distance between 2 points is a shortcut. And I find other people, they have kind of basically what I call destination disease. They just think, boy, if I could just know him or marry her or live there, if I could just work for them, everything would turn around. The third thing Rebecca teaches me is that extra blessings are a result of extra effort. And my good friend Zig Ziglar says there is no traffic jam on the extra mile. Oprah has a great quote, I have it in your notes. Doing my best at this present moment puts me in the best place for the next moment. Great quote. When I see a leader, I think of the word leadership, equipper, attitude, dreamer, excellence, and one more word I think of when I see a leader, and that's the word relationships. Great leaders relate well with their people. In my book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, I have a law called the law of connection. The law of connection says that leaders touch a hand before they ask for a heart. I was in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I was pulling up to a service station many, many years ago, and I saw this on a window of that station, why customers quit. And I just want to pass it on to you. 1% die. And I want to stop here long enough to say that is a legitimate reason. We never want to say that's illegitimate, okay? 1% die, 3% move away, 5% because of other friendships, they don't continue to go with a company. 9% of the customers quit because of competition. 14% because of product dissatisfaction. But here's what I want you to catch right here. 68% quit because of an attitude of indifference toward the customer. Wow. Now, I'm not going to talk a lot about relationships here because I'm going to teach relationships in another lesson. But what I want you to do is see for a moment the profile of a leader, and I'm not going to go through that, but I want you on your own to look at the 25 different snapshots of a profile of a leader. And I want you on your own time to look and evaluate yourself. But I want to close this lesson on what is a leader by sharing with you two things quickly, and then we're done. Here it is, very simply. When I lived in San Diego, California, I was a San Diego Padre baseball fan. Now, you have to understand, that's not a lot of fun. In fact, I used to say that the Padres have the finest minor league team in the majors. Okay. And one of the things I noticed during the Padre game, between innings, about between the third and fourth inning, out on the big vision board, they would begin to put together on like a puzzle on that board a baseball player's face. And everybody would kind of watch it because in the beginning you didn't know which baseball player's face they were going to put up there, and they would only put one piece of the puzzle up there. Obviously, nobody could tell who the player was with just one piece of his face up there. So it just kind of glued you to the screen because you wanted to see how long it took you to put together the puzzle. And so there'd be one piece and then another piece and another piece. And about the fourth or fifth piece of the baseball player's face, it would start to come together for you. And what was most interesting is that when it got to maybe that fifth or sixth place where you could really tell who the baseball player was, there would be an audible sign. You could just hear the people out at the stadium that night. You would just hear them, they go, ah. They knew who it was. All of a sudden, they said, oh, that's who it is. I know that. Now, here's what I've tried to do in this lesson. I've tried to piece together for you what a leader looks like. And the reason I've tried to do that for you is because many of you want to be a leader yourself. And you can't be a leader yourself until you have a picture of what it looks like. So if I'm to say to you, be a leader, you say, but what does it mean to be a leader? Okay, we've shared with you what it means to be a leader. But here, this is as important as for you to develop yourself. You'll never be able to pick out a leader unless you know what they look like. Here's the way this works. When I fly into a city and I'm speaking somewhere in a conference and people are picking me up, if the person doesn't know who I am, I found that there are two ways that they connect with me when I come into the airport. And one of the ways is sometimes they'll hold up a sign. and they'll have, John Maxwell on it, and I get off and I see all these people and all these, and if there's my name, and I walk over and introduce myself to the person. That's one way. Another way is sometimes they'll take like my book that has a picture on it, and let's hope it's a recent book. But they'll take my book and they'll have it. In fact, I've seen them many times. They'll be kind of waiting in the airport area where the passengers get out, and they'll have my picture out there. And what they're doing? They're looking at my picture, and they're looking at the people coming off. And see, what's interesting is one person who sticks up the sign, they make it my responsibility to find them. The person with the picture, they make it their responsibility to find me. And there's two types of people in the world. If you just kind of in your company or in your business, if you just hold up a sign and just hold on, looking for a leader. The good news is there'll be some leaders that'll find you, but there'll be many leaders that'll never see you. They'll just kind of pass you on. But if you have a picture of what a leader looks like, you'll know what they look like. And most of us, we miss opportunity because we don't know what opportunity looks like. Isn't that true? So what happens is opportunity passes us. And how many times as an opportunity passes you, say, oh, I wish I would have done that. And how many of you have done that at least once today? Sure you have. Sure. Oh man, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I grab a hold of that? You know why you always recognize opportunity on the other side? Because you never recognize it until it passes you. But the person that's successful, they know what opportunity looks like when it's coming down the road. And so they are able to seize it and take advantage of it. That's the same way it is about leadership. The reason we're trying to help you to develop as a leader is to give you a picture of what a leader looks like so you can be a better leader, but so that you can recognize leaders around you, so when they're coming, you say, oh, here comes a potential leader. Here comes another leader. So that you can begin to bring them around you and so that you can be more successful. Now, I want you to look at your neighbor right now in closing and say, now I know what a leader looks like. Go ahead and tell them that. And I want you to look right back at him and look at him one more time and say, and you have potential. Thank you very much.